What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Alterman. It is Thursday, September 29th, the final Thursday of September. And this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What is up? What's up, everybody? It's good to be back, man. It was a good week, and we're in the last two big weeks of the Breeders' Cup preps, and God, it snuck up on me, man. I looked at all the cards this weekend. I was like, man, that's right. That is this weekend. So it's crazy this week.
I said the last weekend of September for a reason because, yeah, like you say, like we're in October. You know, the first is Saturday, which is the races we're going to talk about. And what's the month after? November 4th and 5th is the Breeders' Cup. So this is it. Like you said, this is the final stretch, the final classic. We only have one official classic win and you're in Breeders' Cup race, but we're going to talk about three total that have implications for the Breeders' Cup. So the classic. So it's all these final horses that are kind of making their final stops, their final preps before they prep or before they get to the classic or, whatever Breeders' Cup race is. So it's a huge weekend. We had the Pennsylvania Derby last weekend. We can talk about that a little bit here if you want. Obviously, Taba showed up, reminded everybody who kind of we thought maybe he was at one point. He looked unbelievable. He just thrashed that field. I feel like they finally have figured out, what he is, how he can run, the best he can run. And I thought it was a great ride from Mike Smith. And I got some bold thoughts. I might do a video on it actually, because I've already, I'm the leader of the fan club, so I've got to talk a little bit about Taba. But what are your thoughts of Taba first?
Yeah, first and foremost, a great ride by Mike Smith. I know everybody in our group chat was really concerned over the ride because, listen, if you watch Parks all day, it definitely played towards speed. You kind of look at some of Taba's previous trips, it's like, shit, if he's like fifth and 4 or 5 lengths out of this, we're screwed in this situation. But Mike Smith rode him hard, got him out of the gate, got him in a good position. So great job, Mike Smith, for the ride. Yeah, the race was good. He showed up like he needed to, and he got that big win. And so it was a really good race. He definitely can move forward to the Classic off of that one without any doubt. And we'll see. He's not going to beat Flightline, but some of these other ones, I think he threw himself right up there with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest question as we wait to see is he better than Epicenter? I mean, I think everyone kind of wants to know that. You can't put him ahead of Epicenter based off of what they've done on the track. Obviously, Epicenter's been amazing this year. Talent wise, I think the question still looms because you just don't know what the Derby. Obviously, you can't put any weight into that in terms of the talent level and who's better. Taba, we talked a lot about this in the past where it's like these Baffert 3-year-old colts that, other than Pharaoh, who kind of obviously had the huge year, they start to develop at the right time. They really start to peak at this time. It's not a coincidence that we've seen Baffert win the Pennsylvania Derby with a horse and then go win the Classic with that same horse. So because these horses are start to peak at the end of the year. So I certainly think he's got the edge on Epicenter in that regard. He's had a lighter year, a lot of race year. He's probably going to be peaking at the right time in the Classic, where I wouldn't be surprised if he did outfinish Epicenter underneath. It's
interesting because Epicenter's like the kid that he grew up playing baseball, and his dad had him at the field when he was 5 years old, and he did the travel ball, and he did the junior high and the high school and the college. And then Taba's kind of the one that just picked up a baseball bat his first day of high school and was like, I'll try this. Everything Epicenter has done and how they've kind of planned his season out has gone perfectly. He checks all the boxes. He just looks like the type that's like, yeah, he's the best horse. But then Taba is just like sporadic, and he was handled horribly.
Yeah.
And now they're just now getting him to where he's being handled right, and his races are spaced out right, and his where they're spotting him is right. So it's really hard to make the comparison. There's no question Epicenter has accomplished more and has done it the right way or the normal way. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's more talented than Taba. It's just, what will they look like when they're both entered in a race where they're supposed to be there?
It's like, Epicenter hasn't missed a camp. He's been doing all the coach. He's been seeing every expert in the country. He's had, literally played all year round. And then Taba, he's been, out partying all summer and then comes back in the fall and he's like ready to play and he just beats the shit out of everybody, you know, like it's just naturally easy for him.
Well, I mean, no, not only is he out partying, but right, like the day after he's out partying until 3 a.m, they're asking him to run a race at 6 a.m. That's the kind of thing. Not only is he behind the 8 ball as far as his timing, they've asked him to do way too much. And that's what I harped on last week. It said, we're finally going to know what he is. There's no excuses for him in this race. This is where he's logically spotted. He's coming into the race, not off of a layoff. He had a race. He had workouts. This is his first normal effort in a long time. And so I was very happy to see that he backed up what we've been saying about him all along. He's very good. He just needed to get spotted at a logical spot, and he finally got it on Saturday, and it worked out.
He can't. I don't think he can. Like if Flightline comes and brings his normal race, he's not going to beat him. But I will say, I'm to the point like I wouldn't be against using Taba and Flightline in the Breeders' Cup Classic because I'm worried that if for whatever reason Flightline doesn't show up and Taba wins, he's the horse that I think, if for whatever reason, you know, like just the unexpected Flightline doesn't have it, he just folds like a cheap 10 at the top of the stretch or whatever it is. To me, Taba, out of everyone in the field, is the horse I'm most interested in playing. Not, you know, over Life is Good, over you know, Epicenter, you know, any of those horses. I'm more interested in Taba because I feel like he's got the Baffert stamp on him as a horse that can win this kind of race if Flightline doesn't win. You know, it's funny. Well, seeing the quotes from Baffert, he's just kind of like everyone's. It's all about Flightline, right? Everyone's like, well, he's like, well, I don't know. I don't think we're as fast as he is, but we're going to Classic. Like they fully know what they're up against.
Well, I think as far as who you're going to use in the Classic sequence, it just depends on the races around it. I mean, if you can find another single, another race, it's not going to hurt to maybe throw another horse on the ticket. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. He can't beat him, you know, head to head. If Flightline shows up at that race, he can't beat him. I mean, you can forget about that, but it's a long ways away, right? And Flightline, he's been known to miss races in the past. And that's the thing. If Flightline shows up, then you get you know, you get to see Flightline. That's great. But if he doesn't, Life is Good and Epicenter and Taba and Olympiad, that's a wide open Classic. All of a sudden, the Classic becomes extremely tough to handicap. And you could throw in maybe a horse or two that's going to run this weekend that kind of gets back into the fray. So that's the thing. If Flightline doesn't show up, all of a sudden the Classic is loaded in a really a puzzle for a handicapping perspective.
What kind of odds would you expect? Well, obviously we'll say it. Consider, like, let's assume Flightline's there. What are the odds on? We assume he's like 4 to 5 or something like that. But what are the odds on? I'll give you 3 horses: Taba, Epicenter, and Life is Good. What do you think their off odds are at?
God, I think Epicenter will be the second choice. I think Epicenter and Life is Good are really close, like 3 to 1, 4 to 1 types, and Taba's like 6 to 1. That'd be my guess. And then if he's not there, if Flightline's not there, I think Life is Good will probably be the favorite. Epicenter right there, and then Taba, the third choice at like 4 to 1. Like, I don't think you're getting above 8 to 1 on him now.
No, absolutely not. And for people, I don't remember what John ended up getting.
38.
Was it 38? That last pool. So he went way down, but then Flightline happened. So the next pool that showed up, and of course he lost as well in the Haskell. So the next pool, John gets him at 38 to 1. And if you think, and you're like thinking, well, that's the dumbest bet ever because he doesn't know what his odds are. Like, he's not going to beat Flightline. But now you look at it, and one, even if Flightline's in the race, he's maybe well below 38 to 1.
Yeah.
2, if Flightline's not in the race, like you mentioned, he's 4-1 or something like that, 6-1. So you have 38-1 on a horse that might be second choice in the Classic, third choice in the Classic, who has a legit shot. So even if Flyland's in it, like there's worse bets you can make on a horse at 38-1. There's worse horses you could use. I mean, so
Yeah.
it's actually a very interesting kind of hedge.
It is. You assumed you said Flatline be 4-5. I think he'll actually be a little shorter than that. So yeah, I mean, you got to play it. And let's say Taba's even 10-1. Well, you're getting 4 times that value basically,
Yeah.
So I think it was a good bet by him for sure. And again, I think he's going to eventually cash that bet, not if Flightline's there. But he made a great point, and he's right. It's not like this horse just shows up and dances every dance. We've seen Flightline twice this year. All right.
Yeah.
There's a great chance he's not there. And then, like I said, you got 38-1 on a ticket that A, has a good shot to hit all of a sudden, and B, the horse is like 4-1 or 5-1, So yeah, but again, this division is done, and unless something happens to Flightline, you can forget about it.
One thing real quick before we move on, for people that that whole card itself was crazy on Pennsylvania Derby Day. You had I don't want to be too harsh, but you have basically a shitty track with an unbelievable track bias. And so how do you kind of use that day, say Society or some of those horses in the cotillion? How do you just scratch that race out for people looking at these, what you saw over the weekend? It's hard to say, well, I really think Taba's great, but everyone else I'm not going to use because I didn't like the way that track was, or these horses couldn't close, the way the race was playing, like they had no chance. So things like that, Secret Oath, like for instance, it's a good one. Lucas commented about the track bias and how she had no chance, as far back as she was, or whatever the case was. Any of those kind of horses, like what do you do with those based off of how badly that track was playing that day? Unfair, I guess.
Any horse that ran against the bias, you can kind of give it a pass, right? As far as Secret Oath specifically, what do you want me to say? Like I don't think she's good enough, and she's tired, and she needs a break, and I don't think that's going to go very well at the Breeders' Cup. But yeah, I mean, any horse that ran against the bias, certainly you kind of upgrade. And then with Society going gate to wire, you do have to give the horse some credit. Like anybody could have taken the lead. It's not like she's the only speed horse in that race, right?
Yeah,
she just went out and smoked. Good, yeah, I give her a little bit of credit. I mean, am I going to play her back? Probably not, but she looked pretty dang solid. That track as a whole was pretty funky. That's kind of Parks in general. If you play that track day in and day out, you kind of know you get some funky results on that track. So you don't take it too serious, really. And honest to God, I kept Taba fourth because it was at Parks. Like McKenzie, remember when he won the Pennsylvania Derby? He sucked his next race. So
yeah,
you do have to take it with a grain of salt a little bit.
Yeah, and it's hard to with Secret Oath. It's like I have a hard time dreaming up a scenario that she looks like that and goes and wins the distaff the next time. Like she's a tired horse. You said it. She's not good enough. She won the Oaks. Give her credit for that, but Nest will eat her alive, and that's just one horse that I'm going to mention.
Well, Nest is
again
again twice. Like it's not that you're not going out on a limb. We've seen it live and in person twice. She's not that kind of horse. There's not many that are. Like Nest is probably going to win this thing, right? So that was a race at Parks that against the bias really hurt her specifically, but we've seen it all the time. When these horses get to this point in the season and they've ran so much, it's really tough. It takes a really, really good horse to hold that form all the way through the entire season. And that's what she's trying to do. And that's just a tough ask.
Yeah, that's just part of the campaigning that Lucas does. He runs them until they don't want to run anymore. And that's just kind of the old style mentality. And, you're going to win a lot of races, a lot of grade ones, a lot of big races that way. But unfortunately, it's hard to prolong that when you get a horse like the Oaks. And we always kind of joke, it's like the worst thing you can do if you're a Lucas horse is run really well in a race that you probably shouldn't have ran very well in, because now you're set up for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
you got every race for the rest of the year planned out until you can't go anymore. So
yeah,
it's the unfortunate thing of how he trains. It's you look at it both ways. I mean, obviously she's the Oaks winner for probably the same reasons that she's tired now. You know what I mean? So it kind of works the same way.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I do like it. I like trainers that enter horses, right? But there is a point where you're like, I don't know if that may have been the right idea, right?
Because you remember after she ran in the Arkansas Derby and she didn't go well, he trained the shit out of her leading up to the Oaks. And remember, we got there and a lot of people were coming up to us talking to us about what we thought, like that there were a lot of questions around Churchill Downs, the way he was training her, that she looked too tired to be training that way, that he couldn't, something she might be wrong, something might be wrong with her. And then she goes and we see her the day of, and she goes and looks amazing, and that's part of the way he trained her. But that may have done it for her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That day, that race, that may, because she's never been the same since.
No, she didn't run it. She ran okay in the Preakness, but when you kind of take those horses in a vacuum, it's like, that wasn't that great. I mean,
she's a good horse. I don't want to say her talk like she's not a good horse. It's just she's tired, and when you match up a horse like to Nest or whatever, she's just not gonna hold up to that. She's gonna have to be at her prime. What's up?
Well, not beating Ness is like saying Arkansas can't beat Georgia, but she's losing to like Mississippi, last time out. So we have a guest on the show now.
We do have a guest. You want to hear Aaron?
Put your
butt in.
I knew you would be here.
Yep. Say hi.
Hi.
Hey, what are you doing, buddy?
What are you doing? Get your toy store guys. Talking to the mic.
You're live.
Hey, you know who has a lot of horses running this weekend? Who is it? Justify. Yeah, that's right.
He does. Yes.
He's the daddy of a lot of horses that we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
Think they'll win? Yeah? Think they'll win?
Dad.
What?
Are they going to about beans?
Did you catch that?
I think I caught it. Yeah.
Yeah. Why are you talking about your brother pooping out beans?
I don't think that's cool. That's embarrassing for him.
I thought he was going to say that Justify pooped out babies, because he talked about that too one day. But yeah.
He poops out babies.
He poops out babies. Yeah. And Cohen poops out beans. There you go. Breaking news. Blinkers off.
I'll poop out beans and Justify poop out babies.
Yep.
There you go. Justify poops out $1 million beans.
That's right. Yes.
All right. What do you say we get to today's show? We're going to preview and get picks for Saturday's 4 Breeders' Cup Win Your In Challenge Series races at Santa Anita Park, Churchill Downs, and Belmont at the Big A. Then we're going to take a look at 2 unofficial Breeders' Cup Challenge races for the Longines Classic, but very important races, including the Lucas Classic, which might be the race of the weekend heading into the Classic. Hey, say, let's go.
Go.
Boom.
Good job.
All right, Dad's gonna work. Okay. You buzzing Woody, be good.
He's like, all right.
You want to just listen? You can just walk around and listen to the show. You listen to Aaron anyways. Is that cool? He's just smiling real big. You got to listen to his voice, though.
He's like, all right, that'll work for now.
So keep it clean, Halterman.
All right, I will. It's going to be on my best behavior.
You got small ears listening. It's every other Thursday tradition.
Yes.
Cooper on the show. Oh. You want it off?
He's like, I've had enough.
Yeah, I don't blame you, dude. I would take mine out too if I could, but You can sit there. All right, let's go to we're just gonna run through these guys. Like there's 6 of them we're gonna talk about total. Like I said, 4 are official, 2 are unofficial, but will have implications for the Breeders' Cup Classic. So let's say we do this, Halterman.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's do this, Halterman. Because that's what I call him. I call him a Halterman. That's just what I call him. And you call him Aaron, yeah. Yep. That's just what I call him.
That's right.
It's like I call you Coop and your name's Cooper. Like Cohen, turd butt, and he's Cohen. What do you call Aaron? Oh, just Aaron. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, sure. All right, Cooper. We're going to get going here. All right, this weekend, huge weekend. Lots of Breeders' Cup implications on the line. 6 we're going to talk about today. 4 are official Breeders' Cup Winning Your In Challenge Series races. 2 are unofficial, but we'll have classic contenders, so we'll talk about those as well. Let's kick things off, Halterman. We're going to do this kind of rapid extended fire. So we're going to just go through them one by one, but obviously talk a little bit about each one of them because they are so important. Race 8 at Santa Anita Park on Saturday. We're just talking about Saturday, by the way. There's more even on Sunday as well. So it's a big weekend, Saturday and Sunday for Breeders' Cup races. Race 8, the Awesome Again Stakes. Grade 1, 300K for 3-year-olds and up, going 1 mile and 1/8. This is an official Breeders' Cup Winning Your In. For the Longines Classic, field of 8 shows up here, led by, we talked a lot about the other Baffert, the 3-year-old Baffert, but we got a few Bafferts in here. Obviously, Country Grammar will be the favorite headlining this race. It kind of feels like every race he's been in since that Dubai World Cup, it's like the stock measure keeps going a little bit further down. And obviously, Flightline manhandled them last time. So we kind of have that to know as well. And then Taba did his thing. And so everyone's like, well, maybe that's the Breeders' Cup Classic Baffert horse you want. So where are you at with Country Grammar now?
Well, I mean, the stock drops towards the bottom if he doesn't get it done here. He's got to get a win. That's where I'm at with it. I think he can. Look, take out Flightline. He beat the hell out of the rest of those horses in the Pacific Classic. And that's what I keep saying. It's not like he was bad in that race. He just got beat by a superior animal. You put him in this spot, listen, he should beat Royal Ship. He should beat Express Train. So I went with Country Grammar on top in this spot. John White actually just sent us the odds in Country Grammar 8-5 on the morning line. So he will be the morning line favorite, as you mentioned, at 8-5. So again, Country Grammar to me looks pretty sharp in here. I think he's the one to beat.
Yeah, it's a combination of, it's like, 1, I think he's better than the rest of these, and 2, he's like, he did beat everyone else quite easily other than Flightline. You look at the margin, 19 1/4 lengths for that last loss, you think, oh man, he actually ran well. The horse that he got beat by was named Flightline. I think the only horse in here that I'm interested in, not named Country Grammar, is Royal Ship, and I just can't. I can't quit him, I guess. He's one of those horses that you definitely don't, you just got to use and not even think about it. Because especially him and Country Grammar, they like to battle, they kind of switch places and one of, obviously he beat Royal Ship last time out in the Pacific Classic with Flightline. If they were in a race on their own, he beat Royal Ship, but he beat him, Royal Ship beat him in the San Diego. So it's like they kind of flip-flop and they've obviously last year had some good battles. So I do think he likes Royal Ship. I think he likes Santa Anita a little bit more than he likes Del Mar. That's another thing too. So I think Royal Ship is interesting here if Country Grammar can't get it done.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think Royal Ship's the other one to use in the spot. And you said it, they've had some battles without any doubt. They've had some battles right here over this track. So yeah, Royal Ship certainly should run pretty well in this spot. Express Train, he's another horse that likes Santa Anita, but I just don't think he's quite as good as Country Grammar or Royal Ship. The weird entry to me was Slow Down Andy. Looked really good on the turf last time out in a sharp race at Del Mar, and now he's here. So that was strange to me. But you kind of don't reinvent the wheel. It just seems like Royal Ship, Country Grammar, Express Train are a little bit better than the rest of the field.
Yeah, Slow Down Andy, even though he won last time out, he's just I don't know what his time for numbers are, but buyer wise, he's well cut below from a speed figure standpoint. I mean, I get he won on the turf last out. He's an interesting horse, obviously, but he would have to improve his buyers here almost 20 points probably in order to win this thing.
Yeah. It was just it's like, I looked at the last race like, wow, you may have found a home for him. It's the turf. And then we're in this race. So it was really odd to see that. But he does come in sharp at least. And that's more than you could say for a few of these that kind of haven't been their best as of late. So, I mean, we'll see. High Connection was another one. It's like, wow, that was maybe one of the worst shared beliefs I've ever seen. You lost. And now you're in this race. So that was interesting. I don't know if they just kind of had some filler here or what, but looks like a 2-horse race, maybe a 3-horse race if you want to get Express Train involved.
Yeah, I mean, with High Connection, definitely feels like he's a horse that they're going to make sure, him and Defunded go out there and set some quick fractions in order to get Country Grammar kind of set up there. Is there anything that could happen in here that with Country Grammar that would make you? I mean, it's a stupid question. No, there's nothing that he could do you think he could beat Flightline, but to where he kind of takes over Taba in terms of, no, maybe this is the Baffert horse that could possibly win the thing.
Look, every horse running this weekend needs to get in that position of Life is Good, Taba, and Epicenter. To where, hey, if Flightline doesn't show up, we're going to beat you because we're that next flight, and the monster's gone, and so we're the next flight, and we're in there. Hell yes, if Country Grammar wins this race by 3 or 4 lengths, he absolutely is in that group with Life is Good, Epicenter, and Taba. So I think it's a huge race. Again, none of these horses are going to beat Flightline. Nobody, forget it. But if he doesn't show up, all of a sudden, Country Grammar wins this by 3. He's in the mix without any doubt. This horse has won all over the world. So he can win here, kind of get that thing back going. Sure. I think it's a very important race for him.
It's won $11 million. That's hard to be asking if he can win if he has a shot, to make any noise in the Classic. If he goes and wins here, it's kind of, really the biggest, it's like this, if you really think about it, if you take out Flightline, and you could say that about a lot of situations here, if you take out Flightline, he goes and gets second in Saudi. He wins the Gold Cup last year, but he goes and takes the break, goes and wins, or second in Saudi, wins Dubai World Cup. He's second in the San Diego, which you can give an excuse for, giving off the layoff there from the Maidan to there, and then wins, let's just say, wins the Pacific Classic by 7 lengths, right? That's that. If there was no Flightline, that would have been his running line, and now we're sitting here thinking he can win. He's going to win the Classic. He just has to go and show up, and he's going to win the Classic. So I think it's easy to kind of make him seem not very good based off how he got annihilated last time by that horse. But I think you're right. Go win this thing, and you certainly have a shot, at the very least, to finish second in the Classic.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. You got to win. You got to win here, and you got to look good. And if you do, I'll have no problem putting him in the top. Well, depending on what else we see this weekend. I shouldn't say that, but he'll be a top 5 contender, no doubt.
For sure. Well, let's talking about what else we'll see this weekend. Let's go to the back. Belmont at Aqueduct at the Big A. Let's go to race 7 on Saturday. This is the Woodward Stakes Grade 1, $500,000, 3-year-olds and up, going a mile and 1/8. Not an official Breeders' Cup winning you're in for the Classic, but it might as well be, because here you got Life is Good, the 1 horse. You're 1-9. You don't often see 1-9 morning line favorites, but that's what Life is Good is in this race. Keep Me in Mind is your second choice, 6-1. I mean, really, there's no point talking about any of these other horses, because this is clearly just a final prep in terms of heading to the Classic. I mean, what do you need to see from him here? There's nothing you can learn from this race.
There isn't much. I would like to see him finish up the last 16th of a mile a little bit stronger than he did on Whitney Day. I kind of documented on a video on the website and also after on some of our post podcasts for the Whitney. The track was weird. It rained midday like it does sometimes at Saratoga, and it was kind of a sticky track, and it was extremely hot, and he was extremely hot. So did he finish poorly in that race because it's just kind of some weird factors, and it's just like get the win and get out of there? Don't forget Olympiad didn't even run hardly on that track, so it kind of tells you. Then he came back and won next time out, so it does kind of tell you the track was weird. But how does he kind of finish up that last 16th? And I know, I get it. You're not going to learn anything, right? Like he's not going to get pressured and this and that. You can still kind of see if a horse is finishing with a lot of run or not, right? So that's what we're going to look at. That's what we're going to kind of keep our eye on here for this race. I mean, it seems like a walkover. Competition-wise, we're not going to learn a thing.
Yeah, I mean, from a competition standpoint, yeah, you're right. I mean, he's the speed of the speed. He always is. I mean, really is in every race, but he certainly is here. Small field. Shouldn't be hard to, draws the rail, should just go. You talk about a horse, and you can go down the list, but this is to me the one who you're like, it seems like it's been when you think about him, it seems like it's been a year since he's ran last, because I feel like so much has happened since he ran in terms of Flightline. And the Whitney, you're like, oh, this is the horse. Like we'll see what Flightline does, but this is the horse. And all of a sudden, it's just, you kind of feel like he's an afterthought a little bit. And you just kind of forget, like, Life is Good has been really good and would be the favorite of the race, most likely, with no Flightline, probably the second choice. But that's what Flightline has done, I feel like. I think what you need to see here from him, you want to see where he extends down the stretch, but also that he looks like he's a bottled up rocket ready to go. Like you don't want to see him get asked. You don't want to see him feel like he's got any pressure that he needs, that IRAD needs to like get after him just a little bit. You want to have him feel like this is simply a workout, and you can see that he's wrapped up, ready to go because he's going to have to bring his biggest effort of all time in order to test Flightline.
As you were talking, I kind of thought, go watch Lucas Classic last year, Knicks Go.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see out of Life is Good. That to a T, that's what you want to see out of Life is Good.
Or it looks like it's like this horse could eat when he's ready to, but they're not letting him do it yet.
Don't look at the times or the numbers. Watch him finish and see.
Yeah, how easy is he running early in the race? How smooth does he look when he turns from home? How smooth does he extend? Those little things, is it hard for him to kind of get separation? You got to think he's going to be the leader in the Classic. You got to assume that, I think, because you've made mention, one of the funny things you've said in the past about comparing Life is Good and Flightline. It's like Life is Good. He just goes out there. Like, he doesn't know how to do it other than just go really fast and try to catch me. Whereas Flightline, obviously, like talked about, he's the horse that he knows what he's doing. He can sit off. He's very smart, very athletic. Life is Good is just going to go. So I think we know he's going to be the leader. You want to see how easy he can do that in this race here.
It's always funny when people are like, this horse will press this horse and then it'll set it up for this closer. And it's like, yeah, but Flightline doesn't go to the front. So I don't know how that's going to work. It's just like last year. It's like, oh, Hot Rod Charlie will burn up Knicks Go. It's like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, he's not even close to the same speed. So yeah, I mean, that's something you'll hear a lot that is just not going to be accurate heading into this. But yeah, I mean, you said it best. It's just, how does he finish? Does he have trouble separating? There's little signs that you could take from this. From a betting standpoint, I mean, it's a single and move on.
But I do think if the best thing that can happen for us and for bettors and for fans of the sport is go see that, if he has that kind of Knicks Go-ish performance as a preparation, you at least are like, okay, like he's going to bring it in the Classic, like we know, like he's going to give it a go. And whether you love Flightline or not, like we do, but still in the back of your mind, you're thinking he's dangerous on the front end. Like life, you're gonna if Life is Good brings it in the Classic, Flightline's gonna have to go get him. He's gonna have to be good enough to go get him, and I think he is. But you know what I mean? Like it's not some chump out there, and it's not Hot Rod Charlie setting the pace.
I'm gonna say something that might shock you and a lot of people listening. If Flightline doesn't show up, Life is Good as my pick to win the Classic, assuming he shows up here in this race and gives us the signs that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
that
really
track at Keeneland going 1.25 miles and him out there, and there ain't gonna be nobody around him. The Flightline's not there early in that race. They're not gonna get him. I'm gonna tell you right now, they're not gonna get him. Now, Flightline will go right by him. I have no doubt. These other horses are not gonna catch Life is Good on that track. I'm telling you, it's not gonna happen. But
remember the Pegasus, wherever it was just the race was over.
I remember last year at Del Mar, everybody saying Knicks Go couldn't get 1.25 miles either. You know, so. Honestly, I think Life is Good goes gate to wire in the Classic if Flightline isn't there. And if he is there, he's probably going to lose by like 8 lengths. That's how much I think of Flightline. That's how good I think he is.
All right. So Life is Good is obviously a horse that you need to be watching here. Probably tough to bet other than sequence-wise, just single move on. Hard to, even on a 1-9 shot, hard to make money playing a, 1/4 exacta or whatever it is. Hard, 5-horse field. It's hard. How do you make any money in this?
Pays. Look what the 1-2 pays. If it pays decent, I would play it. I think the 2 could spice it up a bit. Maybe pays $4 or $5.
Well, if you want to get 5-1, 4-1 on that, that's not, considering Life is Good is going to win. So really the 2 needs to beat 3 horses. Yeah. I mean, there's tougher bets, to make. So for sure. So, but yeah, Life is Good, obviously moving forward, huge race for him just to kind of see how the engine looks. Is it purring? How can he do in this one? We'll find out, but obviously we think he's going to win here. Regardless of how strong he looks towards the Classic. All right, let's go to race 8, the Miss Grill Stakes, grade 2 at Belmont of the Big A. Phillies 2-year-olds going 1 miles on the turf. It is an official Breeders' Cup winning. They're in for the juvenile Phillies turf. This weekend is obviously a very big weekend for the Classic, but it's also a big weekend for the juveniles. You got the 2-year-old, the Champagne. Obviously, we'll talk about that next. You got the Phillies side. You got the turf Phillies. You got a lot of 2-year-old action, which we need because we're trying to, that's the toughest divisions a lot of the time, trying to kind of figure out which horse is coming in at the right time, kind of peaking. Who do you like? This one, you got 9-5 on Free Look. It's tough when you have a Chad Brown like that's 9-5 and not the favorite, because the 6, Be Your Best at 6-5 is the favorite here. What do you think of this one?
This is a toughie, isn't it? I could see this going a lot of different ways. Flightline kicks off the pick 5, and I'm gonna probably obviously single there and I may go all in this race. This is tough. I don't trust the 6-5 favorite enough to bet the horse at 6-5, so I may just go all but the favorite in this race. I went number 2, Free Look, on top, kind of dancing around this. Got beat pretty badly on debut by the favorite, Be Your Best, but really improved next time out at Saratoga. We've seen Chad with these horses before. He'll continue to kind of get this horse to improve, I think. I think Free Look's going to turn the tables on the 6, Be Your Best today. I'm looking for Chad to win this one.
Yeah, I certainly don't disagree with the favorite being the 6 here. But I don't think that I don't know. It's hard to trust any of them, honestly. And I'm sitting here kind of like trying to gather my words because I handicapped this last night and there were no odds out. Alterman, I've got the highest priced horse on the field.
Oh, you got the 5, yeah.
I'm shocked by the 12-1.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's 12-1. She's 12-1. Hasn't been beat, or I'm sorry, did get beat last, but hasn't been beat on the turf. Where she debuted last time out, kind of debuted on the dirt. Justify. We'll talk about him a lot. Justify, Cooper. I have a lemon drop mare. But yeah, this is obviously Justify seems like a turf horse, could be a very good turf sire. It looked good last time out, going 5.5 furlongs, stretching out, of course, a little bit here, but still a lot of these horses are doing that same thing. And you look at that number, she got a 66 buyer on that turf race, and it's definitely in the ballpark for like Free Look got a 68 on debut and then a 74. Like this horse could definitely improve off of that effort into this race. You would think the longer the better. I went and watched the replay of this race, and to me, I just thought this horse looked. First of all, she's definitely a Justified baby. Like she looks like her dad. She's a good looking filly, and she's big for being a 2-year-old. And she kind of just did it. I don't know if you remember this debut, or on the turf debut, but she kind of loomed back and kind of fell out of it a little bit, and then just kind of worked around the field and just obviously looked a little green, but once she kind of got clear, the horse just skirted off, and it was very impressive, I thought. So if this 12-1 dude, I'll take that all day.
That horse, I like that horse. So that horse be on the ticket. I agree. I thought the horse ran well, should really improve going 2 turns, and that's the big key. And when you got a sequence with Life is Good in it, you got to beat favorites in other spots, right? Because you're not going to try to beat him most likely. This is a spot where I think the 6 is going to be over bet. And like I said, that going 1 through 5 and trying to just beat that favorite doesn't sound like too bad of a plan. I think the 5's got a big shot. I'm with you. I thought this was very interesting. The horse moving over to the turf and really improving in that second start.
Yeah, and you lose Jose Ortiz, but you get Rosario who can definitely. I love a horse like closing on the turf. Like Rosario is definitely going to give you an effort there. I don't know what you do with any of these moving forward. For the Breeders' Cup, I don't know if there's any. I guess if Free Look were to look really, really good, kind of has the connections, looks like the right horse. The Pratt, the Chad Brown, the Tappet. Big purchase price, Claravich. Like maybe that's a horse that's interesting in the Breeders' Cup, but is there anything that obviously you kind of from the 2-year-old side, you're looking on the turf, you're looking a lot of times looking at those Euros.
Yeah, that's going to be the big key. If our opinion is wrong and the 6 dominates, then all of a sudden it's a horse that's 3 for 3 going into the Breeders' Cup. So that's one that would obviously be a big time player. But, if our opinion is right and you get an upset here, like I said, the Chad horse, probably going to go to the Breeders' Cup, no doubt. But the other ones, it'd be interesting to see kind of how they would fall and where they would go. I think you'll get a couple of runners for sure, though, in the Breeders' Cup out of this race.
All right, let's go to another horse or another race here. We're going to skip race 9, which is the Belmont Turf Sprint, but let's go to race 10. Obviously, a big race every year with implications towards that Breeders' Cup we talked about. Race 10, the Champagne Stakes Grade 1, $500,000 for 2-year-olds. Going 1 mile on the dirt, field of 6. Lines up here. It's a Breeders' Cup win you're in for the Breeders' Cup TBG Juvenile. We've seen, big horses come through here in the past, and some of them have looked good and then then faltered. Some of them have looked good or not looked good and then ran well. So later down the road. So what are you doing with, I guess, Verifine versus Gulfport? That seems to be the 2 clear-cut horses here. Verifine, obviously the kind of the very well-bred half brother to Midnight Bizou, which is obviously very cool, and obviously another Justify horse. And then Gulfport, who I feel like has just had countless efforts and countless tries, and just can you trust him to get it done? I don't know. Who are you going with?
God, this race, right? Was this a tough one for you? Because it was for me. I
was all over the place trying to, you want to go Gulfport because he obviously, it's like you keep looking for the excuses with him, but there's a lot in here too that are, that I think are interesting. I just think Verifine looks very raw to me in a good way. I
can't go to Gulfport again. I just can't do it. I couldn't go to Blazing Sevens because Gulfport beat him. So that cut it down to 4. This one horse, the New York bred, is kind of interesting, but he faced Open Company and got beat 2 back. So that kind of soiled me a bit on him. That narrowed it down to Top Recruit, the 2, Verifying, the 3, Champion's Dream, the 4. I ended up on the 2, Top Recruit, and I could really regret this one. But you look at this. Let me give you the reasoning here. A little bit of a price, obviously, number 1 reason. Number 2, did win on debut, went to Prairie Meadows, and you're like, oh, he got beat at Prairie Meadows. Tyler's Tribe, I would pick to win this race. Tyler's Tribe is a Iowa bred with a big-time future. He's really, really good. Bounced out of that race, ran fantastic at Ellis Park, and won the Run Happy Ellis Park Juvenile. Gets Irad Ortiz aboard. So comes to New York and gets Irad. I thought that was interesting. So Top Recruit, the 2 horse for me, is who I'm going to put on top. I really don't blame anybody for taking Verifying. I think that horse is one you got to put on the ticket. Like I said, Champion's Dream, pretty good debut at Saratoga. Really interested to see what he does next out. But but Top Recruit, the 2, is who I'm going to put on top.
Hey, honestly, I don't hate it because that was my second choice. I was between the 2 and the 3 making the decision here. I'm with you. I've officially quit Gulfport. I'm on the wait and see with him. He's going to have to do it for me eventually. And listen, I thought, he beat Roman Giant on debut, comeback winner. He got beat by Tyler's Tribe, who also came, like you said, a very good horse, came back to win off of that one as well. And then he wins last time out, like you said, at Ellis. He beat Curly Jack. You're thinking, where did I hear Curly Jack? Well, he's the Iroquois winner. So it's, it's not like this horse is a chump. You're getting 5-1. So to me, I think he makes a ton of sense. The Maker Irad combo as well. I love to see Irad jump aboard here. So I like Top Recruit. If I'm not playing Verifying, I just, he's scary to use, but there's too much to like. You go watch his race. Very, very, he just looks like a horse that's obviously going to want to continue to go longer. Obviously stretching out here to a mile off the 6 furlongs, but for Brad Cox, big time horse. Like I said, sired by Justify, same dam as Midnight Bizu, Diva Delight. So there's a ton of hope with this horse. $775,000 purchase. They took their time with him and, got him debuted at Saratoga, looked really good for Rosario, and he's back. The ceiling is through the roof with him. It's just a matter of what price you're going to get. So in the sequence, I have no problem just playing the 2 and the 3 here, because if he doesn't win, I'm hoping the 2 does. And I do think out of this one, like if Verifying wins here, in Gulfport, I guess you could throw him in as well. I guess you could throw in the 2 as well, but definitely the 3. If 3 goes and wins here and looks really good, like he's going to be second choice maybe. You got to think Baffert is going to be the favorite there, but Verifying comes into that race as we've seen it before. Brad Cox has a juvenile; they're dangerous.
Yeah, I think he's got a decent future. He able to win that race on Travers Day. You debut special horses on Travers Day, usually at Saratoga.
First race of the day.
Yeah, he fits that bill. If you remember, we were standing right on the rail. He ran right by us. It was either the first or the second race of the day. So I get it. I like the pick. And it's funny. We've just got our top 2 flip-flops. We both have the same top 2. One thing, if you're watching Belmont right now, and I'm sure a lot of people are, the 1 horse, how do you say it? Anademo of Ferenz or whatever, this 1 horse. Okay, that race last time out that he won by 5. The 3rd place finisher came back and won last weekend. And the 2nd place finisher is getting ready to run at Belmont Park in a stakes race in 5 minutes. So we'll see how that horse comes back and runs here as well.
All right. Yeah. We'll see if that, another horse. Yeah, I didn't hate the 1 either. I thought the horse was interesting, especially at that price. Definitely has a feel like Gulfport you can't trust. And if Verifying is just like not ready, maybe a little too raw for this, just too quick, well, then the door's wide open, for really any of these to go and win. So, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. All right, let's go. Let's see. Let's go to Churchill Downs. How about that? Your favorite?
Great.
You love you some Churchill Downs. Let's go to the ACAC on Saturday. Got 2 to talk about here. One official Breeders' Cup winning your in. Race 9, the ACAC Stakes at Churchill Downs Saturday, grade 3. 300K for 3-year-olds and up, going 1 mile. Field 10, Halsterman lines up for this Breeders' Cup winning your in for the Big Ass Fans Dirt Mile. Figured he would say something when he said that word. For the Dirt Mile here, and you've got a field of 10, like I said, and dude, I want to know where you're at with Speaker's Corner, because he's sitting here as the even money favorite of this race. And honestly, dude, I just can't. He's a toss for me because I feel like he's spent.
It's tough for me to take him at even money, so I am against him in the spot. Yeah, after that race,
I'm not saying, like, maybe you use him if you have to, but you gotta take a wait and see on him from me.
I'm getting aggressive. I don't know that I want to use him at all. I think I'm going to try to beat him for everything in this spot. He was beyond bad at Del Mar in a race he should have won. Now you're at Churchill. This is a weird track anyway, so
yeah, right.
We'll see. Maybe he'll show up, and if he returns to that top form, he's obviously going to be tough, but I just think it's kind of far-fetched, and boy, what a weird race for him to show back up in as well. So all that being said, I'm going to go number 3, Folsom on top for Brad Cox. This horse is doing well. He's the opposite of Speaker's Corner. He's coming in top form. He looks good so far, or I shouldn't say so far, but recently, last couple of starts, looking real nice. So I do like Folsom here. I don't know about the mile. That's the only thing. He did win a mile race at Oaklawn, but it was a 2-turn race. So the 1-turn mile has me a little worried, but the horse has won 2 straight. Really, the only bad race this horse had came in the Alley Sheba this year, and he just got smoked by Olympiad, Happy Saver. But those are nice horses. I think this spot's perfect for him. So I'm going to go Folsom on top and just hope Speaker's Corner is officially cooked. He certainly looks it.
Yeah, he just, you can make, obviously there's excuses for the Met Mile and Johnny Nerude facing Flightline and Life is Good. And he did all the quote unquote dirty work with Flightline early in that race. So you definitely can make an excuse for that. But, the Pat O'Brien, like you said, like he should have won that thing. He was odds on, he was even money. And he just, if he gets beat, Laurel River or something just nails him at the wire, you're like, well, that's brutal. But he was fading down the stretch. He quit, and we hadn't really seen that from him, that kind of effort. So yeah, it's like, I don't know what. It's unfortunate because he's been such a good horse this year, but and he deserves to be in the Breeders' Cup. But it's just, I don't know how you watch that race and think, oh, he can win here. So I'm with you, and I wouldn't hate at all playing against him completely. Folsom obviously makes a ton of sense. Just I'm questioning how, like, the race level that he's been in, can he win here? But this race isn't super tough when you look past Speaker's Corner. I took a little bit of another price here, number 5. How about number 5, 3 Technique? I think maybe the only time in my life I've picked 3 Technique for any race ever. But look at him since here as of late, since he switched trainers to Jason Cook. He's kind of obviously a low trainer, but look at his last 3 efforts. Runs in the Knicks Go at a mile at Churchill Downs, wins, beats Injunction, who's in this race, who came back to win. Then runs in an allowance, a high-level allowance race, finishes 4th, beaten 4, didn't do great that day, but then comes back in that stakes race, gets second by a neck, but look who he battled, Cody's Wish. Yeah, the same Cody's Wish who came. Cody off of Do Perfect. Yeah.
Yes, he agrees.
Yeah, he likes him. See? Same horse that knocked off Jackie's Warrior at Saratoga. So I think Cody's Wish is obviously the real deal. And, 3 Technique, he seems to be running at a level, and based off of the buyers, he is running at a level that he really hasn't ran at in his past. And so I think he certainly is eligible to win here. And I love the fact that the way this race seems to be setting up for horses that are going to be coming we're going to be coming off the pace a little bit. I like for Speaker's Corner. I think. I mean, can we say maybe Speaker's Corner's cheap speed? He might be. An untreated, a horse that obviously it seems like he's going to have plenty of early pace. Then you've got Injunction. You got Twilight Blue. So there's plenty of speed in the race. And I watched a video on YouTube, racingdudes.com. And I know you like a little Senor Buscador in your life. And he's a horse that can close.
He's a lot like 3 Technique. I almost talked about 3 Technique on that video. That's one we're going to use for sure. Buscador, he ran pretty well going 7 furlongs last time out. Now he gets a flat mile. I think that's going to be perfect for him. The pace, like you said, it's going to be there. I think crazier things have happened. I think Buscador could hit the board in the spot. I really do.
I thought he looked obviously better and buyer wise, he ran the best buyer of his life. Senior Buscador did. But you're in third and only beating 4.5. Yeah, going the mile a little bit longer, that might be right up his alley. He's a horse that definitely is going to you would think, like I said, love this the setup, and had a nice workout there at Churchill Downs last time out.
Yep.
So maybe he likes the Churchill Downs course. So yeah, I mean,
He
he loves it. He's thriving on it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can get there. I might let you talk me into us using him, but I'd probably rather use him than the Speaker's Corner. How about that? So that's saying.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of, I don't know. Senior Buscador and 3 Technique look like the same type to me. Just hopefully it falls apart and they're going to be running at the end. And I mean, they're going to pick off a few. I really think they're going to.
What do you do? Let's assume he runs like we think he's going to run. I mean, obviously, if Speaker's Corner wins, we'll see him at the Breeders' Cup in the Dirt Mile.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't win, it doesn't run great. Does he even show up? I mean, you got to think he shows up if he's healthy, but kind of just what a crazy kind of turn of events, because the 2 horses that kind of destroyed him aren't even in his division. That's the unfortunate thing. That's
the weird thing about it. I don't understand why they took on Life is Good. Listen, it's the Met Mile. You got to go for it. You're the best miler in the country up to that point of the season, because we hadn't seen Flightline run this year. So you got to go for that. But why they went and then took on Life is Good, I'll never know. And I think that may be kind of what got him. And so now here we're sitting, and hopefully he's back. I've really liked him. Like, if you watch our shows in January, February, March, April, I love this horse, but it's hard to get behind him here.
Speaker's Corner. We'll see if he can get it done here. But Halsper and I are both playing against him. He's on number 3, Folsom. I've got the 5-3 Technique. All right, let's go to the last race here we're going to talk about. That's right, Cooper. It's the last race, so just hang tight. Last race, and I think it's the race of the weekend. I really do. Longines Classic, race 10. It's a grade 2, 500K, 3-year-olds and up, going mile and 8th. Field of 6 lines up here. It's not a Breeders' Cup winning you're in, but we've seen Breeders' Cup horses go win. Obviously, Nick Sko did it last year. Mind Your Biscuits is kind of the first horse to kind of do that, and obviously went to the Classic as well from here. And listen, I mean, this race continues to get better every year. Wouldn't be shocking to have this horse or this race end up being a Breeders' Cup winner in for the Classic, because look, it's just turning into this. I mean, who would ever thought the Longines Classic is going to be a grade 2, $500,000 race that's gonna attract big time horses to make their final starts before the Classic. Hot Rod Charlie, your 8-5 morning line favorite versus Art Collector at 2-1, Happy Saver at 5-2, and the Derby winner, Rich Strike, at 6-1. He's back, guys. So what do you think of this one?
Gosh, that's a great question. I kind of think it's between Happy Saver and Hot Rod Charlie here, and it's just like, okay, who's ready to win? That's a tough question when you ask those 2 horses, right?
Oh my gosh, it's impossible. Let me throw something at you. I was looking at this last night. So you look at it, like, and to me, all signs point to Art Collector, but I don't think he's good enough to win this race. But he's the most like now horse, because look, Happy Saver has not won a race since May of last year. Not this year, May of last year. Hot Rod Charlie, even. has not won a race since September of last year. Okay, so that's 2 horses who haven't won a race in over a year. And I agree with you. I think they're both the logical, but it's hard to count on either one of them.
Now, Hard Rock Charlie did win over at Meydan in a terrible prep race for the Dubai
that's
World
fair.
Cup.
He hasn't won in the United States.
Yeah.
You gotta go over there and watch it. Okay.
I went Hot Rod Charlie, and I'll probably regret it, but I went Hot Rod Charlie. I just look at this race and it's like, look, this is yours to win. You can beat these horses. I kind of think he's going to get this one.
Well, we're screwed now because we both picked him. So
yeah, he's not winning.
He's gonna get second. He'll run a good race. He'll get second. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. That's why I picked him, because it's like, all right, he's ran really 3 straight okay races. We ran a great race in Dubai. Let's say that, both of them, but definitely the Dubai World Cup. Finished second to Country Grammar. And really he ran well in both the Salvador Mile and the Whitney. He just got beat. He kind of feels like this year what Doug O'Neill has done with him has been very slow, meticulous, kind of trying to get him to peak at the right time, because he knows that that's the only way you're going to get it done, is if you can get him to peak at that right time, not be tired going into it. So I kind of feel like a big one's coming up, whether it be this one and or the Classic. Is he good enough to win the Classic? No, probably not. But is he good enough to win here? He should be. Yeah.
I mean, he should. And if he doesn't, Happy Saver should be the next one in line to win, and he can do it as well. If both those horses, if neither one win, it's just like, I don't know that they're ever actually going to win again. You got to be able to beat Rich Strike. And I like Art Collector a lot, but you got to be able to beat him. You just have to. If he wins, it's not going to be a big shock. But yeah, some of these other horses, you got to beat them if you're Happy Saver of Hot Rod. You just have to. And if not this spot, I just don't know when he's going to do it. To me, he looks like a horse that, if Art Collector doesn't really go, he'll go to the lead and take him gate to wire. And if he goes, he can just stalk and pounce. So we'll see. We'll see if he can get it done, Jared. I don't know. I hate that we're both picking him.
I know. I went, honestly, I looked at this race longer than any race I looked at last night, just because I was like, I literally had typed in Art Collector. I typed in Happy Saver. And then I typed in I had typed in Hot Rod originally, because I'm a fan favorite, and it's like, I don't know if I can do it. But the more I looked at, and all signs should be Art Collector. Like, he's got a pace advantage. He's quick. He's obviously the now horse. He's rattled off 2 in a row. He's looked very good. Belmont obviously knows how to train. Seems like another horse, but it's just like, I don't know that he's good enough to win. I could see him. He'll be in the lead, but you got to think Hot Rod's going to be flanking him early in the race. That's what T-Gaff needs to do, is get, press him and then be right there. The key with Hot Rod is you got to have him in position at the top of the stretch. You can't mess around with him to try to, get, run down a bunch of horses. He's not going to do it. He just isn't. You've got to have him right on, either in the lead or right on the lead when they turn for home, because he'll grind. He'll grind the whole stretch. But if a horse is in front of him, he may not pass him if that horse doesn't quit. And so that's the concern. He did it. He obviously he's only ran at Churchill Downs once, and that was in the Derby, where he finished third. Couldn't get, but kind of similar. He could not get past any horses down the stretch. He just was right there, couldn't get by him. I just have a hard time believing that he can't get by Art Collector. It just feels like that kind of race where he can. And Happy Saver, I mean, when I compared the two, because I was really between picking those, the 4 or the 3 or the 5. Hot Rod has a higher ceiling than Happy Saver, in my opinion. He's a little bit better. We've seen big performances by him. We've seen triple digit buyers like plus 110. Happy Saver we haven't seen with, Now he is running better than he has ever ran in his life, so maybe it's there. But I just think Hot Rod Charlie is, which is hard to say, is more dependable than Happy Saver.
Yeah, I mean, they're the same, and I think Hot Rod's got a little more flash to him, where Happy Saver's a little more one speed or all the way around, going to grind you down. Hot Rod, he's a weird one because when he makes a turn, he really can kind of motor it. But boy, does he shut it down every time in the stretch and just kind of hang out with everybody he's around. You hit it around the head. He needs to round that corner and get the lead. If he does, I bet he has a hard time giving it up, So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see this race. What about Rich Strike? I know people really want to know. What do you think? Any shot?
Yeah. No. No. I will admit when he ran well in the Travers, and really by number wise, he ran the best race he's ever ran in the Travers. He really would. He finished fourth, beating 5.5, but Epicenter was at 5.5 because everyone else, Cyberknife, Zandon, and Rich Strike were just all right there. He could have gotten second in that race just as easy. So to say he got second in the Travers says a lot more than fourth, but still, I do think obviously the Derby. And hey, listen, where's the race ran? It's at Churchill. We know he likes Churchill. He likes Churchill quite a bit. He's 2 for 2 at the track, including, of course, that Kentucky Derby. So could he win? I guess it's possible because if there's a race he's going to win, this is easily I would argue it's the easiest race he's ran in the last 3. But I just don't think he's good enough either. I think he's he'll finish third maybe.
I think this is the best chance he's had since the Derby of winning. He's back at home. He's facing horses we just talked about. They don't really like to win. If he comes running at him, maybe he can get up there. I think he'll run decent. I don't think he's going to win. Don't get me wrong, but I think he will run decent in this race. But no, it's hard. But listen, it's the easiest spot yet for him. He went up to the Belmont against those, ended up being monsters. Mo Donegal and Ness went up against a monster in the Travers and Epicenter as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he runs. Cyberknife and Zandon came back and ran really well in Pennsylvania. So that was a good race for Rich Strike in the Travers. He ran much better than I thought he would.
Shawty wants to know if this is the first Kentucky Derby horse to race against older males this year.
That's a great question. Off the top of my head, yes, but that could be wrong, Shawty. I'm trying to think. Let me get the list out.
I'm
going to go with yes.
Because all the races, I was the only horse out, what's the horse that Classic Causeway?
No, those were all 3-year-olds.
Those were all 3-year-old races.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I was thinking if there was any of those races, but no, I don't. I think he might be.
Rich Strike, not Epicenter, not Zandon, Simplification. No. Yeah, I believe so. I believe he is the first.
So obviously that's a huge ask.
Some of these horses, I'm going down the list, I haven't even seen these horses in a while. Wow.
There's a King Fury comment. King Fury finished third in the Fort Lauderdale last time out at Churchill Downs. 3 wins and 6 starts at Churchill. 15-1. He's got the McPeak stamp of approval for this race, considering he is in the range of a horse that, has never been fully awful. He has in some races, but he can run well, in a grade 3, he can win, or he can run, 4th or 3rd or something in a tougher race. But 15-1 is in the department of where you can play McPeak and at Churchill Downs nonetheless. And so I don't hate using him for that reason and that reason alone. I don't think he can win, but I've made lots of money off of this this strategy completely. At 15-1, Kenny McPeak with a horse that's capable, we'll call it, wouldn't be the worst. It wouldn't be the most complete shock. I might consider using him in a tournament. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I'm not going to come on the show here and say, hey, everybody go bet King Fury. But if you're on him, I'm going to say exactly what Jared said. I don't think he's going to win, ... But it's Kenny McPeak. It's a big price. We're in Kentucky. I could see it.
Yep.
It's not going to absolutely shock me if he wins.
Yeah, I mean, we say it all the time on this channel. Like, if it's Kenny McPeak at a price, especially at Churchill Downs, like, be careful because they don't. A lot of times they don't make sense, and you get burned by it. So, yeah, King Fury probably shouldn't win, but he could win, I guess. But you and I are both. Oh, by the way, before I move on from this, I texted you earlier. I said this is not an official Breeders' Cup winning your in race, but it is like the Breeders' Cup winning your in to be third in the Classic. Like, this is whoever wins this race, I feel like you could key in third in the Classic because we've talked about how Hot Rod Charlie is that kind of horse. Happy Saver, I think we both have talked about using Happy Saver in the Classic. They have that kind of feel for a horse that's not good enough to run with Flightline, not good enough for up center Taba. Life is Good, but they were solid enough to where we've seen it multiple times with Happy Saver where he's not even a threat, but he does get second to Life is Good, Flightline and Olympiad when he was running really, really well. So, certainly could, right?
Let's think about this. The last time we had a huge favorite in the Classic, like American Pharaoh, FNX was the horse that came in second at like 23-1. So it's happened before. That was at Keeneland too, by the way. And let's think about, think in your mind, okay, let's say Flightline's going to be there. Think about how it's going to go. If he gets to the top of the stretch and just zooms by Life is Good, I got a good feeling Life is Good will pack that in. And then all of a sudden,
forget this.
Who's in play, right? Horses like this, they're going to have a chance. If they're kind of bottled up, can a Happy Saver, can a Hot Rod Charlie kind of outfinish a Taba or an Epicenter and get an upset there for that second spot? So, yes, you have to keep an eye on horses like this for the underneath. And a win here or even a second here would make them even dangerous because get a better price. Happy Saver finished second all the time. So a second place finish here, no big deal, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm rooting for it because I will most definitely be using Happy Saver in everything, underneath because look, he's ran second in 5 straight races, third if you want to count Suburban before that. So 6 straight races he hasn't won, but he's been second in all these races, getting beat by Max Player and Maxfield and Olympiad and Flightline and Life is Good. He kind of runs his own race. He's just right behind the rest of them. And there's nothing to say that he couldn't do that again in the Classic. And he's bred to go long, obviously. So
And Rodney points it out. Hey, he got Happy Saver at second to Flightline in the Met Mile because Speaker got his heart broke and he stopped. And here comes old Happy Saver. He's too dumb to get his heart broke. He thinks he's winning when he's getting second, I guess. He says, I'll go up there and get that, So
he's just going to keep running. He can't catch Flightline, but if Flightline's ahead of him far enough, then they won't even know that he's in the race. So, certainly. That's the thing we talked about. It's like past Flightline, you can throw in the list of a bunch of horses who could run second. That's what makes, like we talked about, if he wasn't in the race, how tough the race does become. Because all of a sudden, any of these horses you could see, stepping up and running a huge race in the Classic. So, Happy Saver, certainly. Hot Rod Charlie certainly couldn't make, hit the board, no doubt about it, in the Classic. But for this race, for the Lucas Classic, I can't believe we're doing it, but we're on Hot Rod Charlie. Yeah, he's going to break our hearts.
No doubt.
He'll be right there. And then he'll just run in place. But you have to get him. You just have to get him right there at the beginning of the race.
When you're handicapping this Classic, you have to look at it the same way as last year. You got a speed horse who you're probably, if you run with him, you're screwed. So how will the trainer look at it? Will they look at it and go, well, if I stay off of him, we can try to get second, but if I go with him, I'm going to get 8th. So, I would say a lot of the other speed, they're not going to mess with Life is Good. That's why he's out by himself a lot. A, he's very fast. And B, if you're riding up there with him, you might hurt him, but you're going to kill yourself too. So, yes, I think that's what's going to happen.
And there's probably only one horse that, can run with him early, or at least be close to him, that can get him late, I think we've talked about him enough. So Yeah, I mean, if Rich Strike wins this race, guys, then it's just like, okay, well, we've assumed we completely can acknowledge that he absolutely, no doubt about it, adores and loves Churchill Downs. Because if he wins here, then he's 3 for 3, including the Kentucky Derby. That's all you could say.
Kenny, I wouldn't talk you off of Rich Strike if you liked him, because it's an easier race than what he's been up against. He's up against horses, we've said it, that they have trouble winning. So he could do it. He could definitely do it. Like I would have been shocked if he won the Travers or the Belmont. I will not be shocked if he wins Saturday.
No. Hey, Coop. Who's your pick? Who's your pick to win the Classic? Justify. All right.
Yeah. He better get to training right now.
If you Justify ran, could he win?
No.
No. He probably finish second.
Yeah, maybe.
Depends on how soon he can get to Baffert's barn.
Yeah. It's funny. You guys were talking about home runs and how you believe, Roger 61 is the record, and Aaron Judge, if he hits more, hits another one, he's the real record holder.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Justify. He's not. Argue all you want if you want, but I don't view him as a real Triple Crown winner.
What about Farrow?
I do, because he never popped a positive, right? Justify literally did pop a positive test and shouldn't have been the actual winner of the Santa Anita Derby. So,
which wouldn't even allow him to run in the Derby.
Right, exactly. So his is legitimate bullshit, I think. Farrow, I mean, he never had a positive, so we'll just count that one.
Yeah. He also ran as a 2-year-old. It was a lot more of a legitimate, quote unquote, legitimate horse versus a horse that didn't debut till March and goes and wins Triple Crown and is like disappears into the is gone.
Yeah.
He stayed in training after, he was a legit horse, no doubt about it, I think. But yeah, you're right. But yeah, I don't count. Like even the Marises are like traveling around, going to every game because they know that the record is, it's about to be broken, I guess, if he can get one more. But still, like, I think no one really views it, even though it's in the record books, quote unquote, no one believes that it really is true.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And it's funny. Like you guys were talking about that. I was like, yeah, that's Justified for me. I just don't buy it.
Oh, come on. You think Sammy Sosa was innocent? Come on. Yeah.
I don't think he can't be serious.
Come on.
To be a joke.
Yeah, that was even McGuire called the Marises, I heard afterward, or like some years later, and apologized. Like, you knew. Yeah. And then the Bonds is just, that's like, the Bonds one is just asinine, to be honest. Like that one, I mean, because with McGuire and Sosa at the time, we were, it was exciting. It was so exciting because they were both, you had two guys going back and forth. And at the time, you really didn't, that was a steroid era. No one even talked about it. Is what it is. And of course, with Bonds, it was after that, of course. And so we're like, come on, dude. We used to see you back in the day, and you looked like me, and now you look like the Hulk up there with holding a little toothpick every time, So come on. Yeah,
you're right. And that the McGuire thing happened in an era where baseball was down, like really down, and so that kind of rejuvenated baseball for a lot of us, right? And so I think people at first were like, "No, it's cool," and then everybody was like, "No, it's not." Like no. Something's up.
It was, I mean, you can't, watching that race and when McGuire hit the record and, missed home plate or missed first base and then came back and he had his kid, like, he bombed home runs all year long, and the home run he hit barely made it over the fence. Yeah. Just an unbelievable, surreal moment. But yeah, looking back, it is a very unfortunate thing. And like I said, no one really, I think you look at someone like Aaron Judge, you're like, yeah, this is legit. Like, this kid is good. And
well, I think like think like Brady Anderson hit like 55 home runs that year or something too. It's like, I don't know who these guys are. And like all of a sudden they're hitting 50. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
wild.
it's pretty.
Those were the glory days.
There's not many games. Like, what is there? How many games are left in the regular season?
6 or 7.
So you got 6 or 7 to become the quote unquote record holder.
Yep. I think the season ends Tuesday or Wednesday. So we're less than a week out.
All right.
Yeah. Maybe Thursday. I don't know.
All right, that's all the time we have. Check us out racenews.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Race News premium button at the menu racenews.com to learn more. Thanks for everybody that played in the tournament with us last weekend, the Parks Day, the Pennsylvania Derby Day. We had 6 people that got qualified into the Dudes Tournament Challenge Championship, which will be on Malibu Day, December 26th. Shadi, one of our, best fans on the site, she qualified. Almost got 2 qualified in there. That was great. Faltered at the end, did not win the thing, but still got there you go. Got a qualifier. The winner, I believe, got close to $300 cash off of $20 the cost to play. Now he's in the finals, no cost to that, and can win. I haven't checked to see if he's a premium subscriber, but if he is, he can win $750 by winning that thing. So you can almost make $1,000 off $20 just by playing this thing. We'll be doing it again, I believe, next weekend. We're going to be doing at Keeneland, right?
Yep, that's right. Keeneland Mile. Yep.
There you go. So we'll have a guide for that as well. So it's going to be a big weekend. Yeah, I know, right? We didn't plan that very well. Didn't plan that very well. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. Shotty, you can get 2 qualifiers. You get 2 spots in the thing. So you better be playing again. And I know you will. And by the way, like the dudes, like we all play in all these, we pay and play in them. But, I told everybody and everyone's on, we're like, listen, in order for, since it's free, it's only for qualifiers, all the dudes have to qualify. Like if they say if I qualified last week or Halterman, we're not going to take a spot from somebody. No. So if we beat you out, Shotty, you would still get that spot. We would still get in. But no one gets to play in the finals unless you legitimately qualify. So we're playing in all these, and we're very serious about qualifying because how lame would that be if none of the dudes are in the championship? So obviously we can't win the thing. We can't win the cash, but we could win for bragging rights. So,
well, wait. We can't win the $500?
No.
Well, then I'm not doing this anymore. Why am I playing?
For bragging rights. You actually want your own money?
Yes.
Okay.
Save me $500.
I'll talk to you about it. Daniel, how can you get in the tournament? Well, we don't have one available right now. So once we do, obviously we'll be talking about the show. Or talking about the tournament on the show. We'll have articles on the site. We'll have links all over the site at racingdudes.com on our products page. If you're a subscriber, you can go on your dashboard. There'll be links there to go and sign up. It's free. Go, so any of our social media accounts will tweet it out, all that kind of stuff. It's an open tournament. You don't have to be a subscriber, but there is a bonus if you are a subscriber. But yeah, again, just stay tuned for that. We'll have at least once a month. We'll probably do one. Like I said, for next weekend, October, we might do another one before the Breeders' Cup. We'll definitely do one on Breeders' Cup Day, which will be super fun to do that. I'll qualify some people. We'll get a bunch in there. Basically, what we do is there's cash on the line for these qualifiers, but we do 1 in every 5 entries can win a spot into the championship. So last week, I think we had 34 people playing, so we got 6 people qualified into that. So obviously, the more people that play, the more qualifying spots we have available. And at the end of the year, it's the culmination of everybody that qualified. December 26th, Malibu Day, winner take all. Champion takes it all. So, and Halterman is not happy about you're not winning anyways. So I don't know what you're worried about.
I'm the worst tournament player in the world. So no, I'm not going to win.
Best handicapper I know, worst tournament player I know. Same guy right there.
Absolute worst. And I'll tell you, I'm awful at those. I never make the right decisions ever in those tournaments. Ever.
He's the guy that like he'll it's not unlikely if he's just playing who he thinks he's going to win, he'll hit 6 of the 10 in the tournament, but they may not pay as much. Mm-hmm. And then he's also the guy that when that he's trying to get cute by playing, prices, they're awful. Mm-hmm. Like you just, I don't know, your brain is wired to pick a winner. So who you think's going to win? Just, I don't know.
I've been
not a bad thing.
beaten.
Like I said, best handicapper. I know. Also, the worst tournament player I know. Same guy.
I've been beaten in the last race like 3 times. And each time is something different. Like I picked a bunch of long shots and one of them actually came in, but then that was it. And or I picked a bunch of favorites and I was ahead, and then the last race an 8-1 beats me. It doesn't matter. So,
By the way, I don't know if you can see him.
yeah, I thought he was dead, but
Let's see if I can take this off here.
what is he doing?
He's on the floor watching my phone. Look how cute he is. Hey, he's tired.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Tired. He's bored. He's like, get off here. All right. So, real quickly, are you on Magic Mike today, or does Magic have another illness, or is he going to be on there?
I haven't heard, so I don't think I'm going to be on it. I think I'm done for the day.
Wow, you know, go take a walk or something. It's beautiful out here in Missouri. So
Already taken one.
oh, there you go. You in Philly?
I've taken 2. Yeah.
All right. Make sure you listen to all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our website, racedudes.com. We're on Twitter at @racing_dudes, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also listen to any Blinkers Off where you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, all those places. We're on there. Again, go to our YouTube page. Make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification button so you can get alerted. Just go to youtube.com/racingdudes or just search Racing Dudes on YouTube. Real quickly, Alterman, Bengals or the Dolphins? Dolphins. My goodness. They're legit.
I'm taking the Bengals, but I'm not betting this game. Everybody thinks the Bengals are just not going to show up, or the Dolphins just aren't going to show up, and it's short week and all this stuff. But they've looked a lot better than the Bengals, so we'll see. I think it's a weird line.
It's a little sneaky of a line, doesn't it? I mean, it feels weird to me.
Mm-hmm. It's weird. So we'll see what happens. Samich and Slim today on the sports or on the Daily Show are like, oh, Dolphins are going to get murdered. Like it's not even be a game. So
it's a minus. What is it? Minus 3.5 now.
Mm-hmm.
48.5 over under. So they're expecting a high scoring game, and I think it's the high of the weekend too. Yeah, that's the high of the weekend. No, 51. The Buffalo-Baltimore game is 51, but almost the highest of the weekend there. And yeah, minus 3.5. The Bengals. I don't know. Like Miami's looks awesome. I mean, beat the Bills. I thought was huge. Now, they've definitely got some luck and been fortunate for some comebacks and things like that. But Cincinnati is. I mean, their offensive line is awful. And I think it's a high scoring game. I like the over for this Thursday night. So sometimes weird. You could also, it could be weird, like, 14 to 17 kind of game. But I don't know. I think Miami put me on notice last week. I was like, okay, they're legit.
I just think I don't know. When I see a line this weird, I stay far, far away. And this is a strange one to me. So I'm staying away from it.
Yeah, Daniel, you're right, too, because even though it screams over, it's a Thursday night game that feels weird. You could see it being like a just multiple interception defensive game, not a really pretty game. So because on paper, it feels like it could be a really high scoring game.
But what's even going on with Tua? Did he really have a concussion? It looked like he did.
Came back and played. So
how's he going to be tonight? I don't know. It's an odd game to me. I think it'll be a fun one, but it's an odd one.
We'll see. Yeah, it's definitely a fun one. Back to the good Thursday night game. So, I think Miami put everyone on notice a little bit. So, to beat the defending AFC champions, Bengals at home, that'd be another big win, another big feather in the cap. So we'll see tonight's Thursday night game. Yeah, go take a break, Halterman. Okay. I'm going to do the same. Me and my little helper here are going to go. I don't know what we're going to do, but go eat lunch. And all right. I think that's a wrap. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend. And remember, watch these horses because this is a huge weekend as we get up towards the Breeders' Cup. See you guys.